Hi guys, my name is Roranoa TV. This story is all about what if Monkey D. Luffy became a pirate king and was executed. Please subscribe, like and share Roranoa TV for more fanfiction story. Pain, suffering, heartbreaks, tears, sobs, destruction. But the cause of it was death. But first, let's start in the beginning. Monkey D. Luffy has become pirate king. But when he gets captured by the Marines, how will everyone react? What will happen? It was a normal day. The Straw Hats were on their ship, waiting for their captain. It has been 8 years since the war. It's been 6 years since they all came back together. And lastly, a year before finding One Piece. Monkey D. Luffy, the now pirate king, and his crew has fulfilled their ambitions. Sanji with his all blue, Zoro being the greatest swordsman ever, Brook seeing his old Nakama Laboon, Robin discovering the Void Century, and more. Tisk, when is that idiot going to come back? It's been a week since he ran off to look around, a woman growled. She had long orange hair in a high ponytail and was wearing a short t-shirt that showed her belly button. She wore white shorts and long combat boots with her bow staff hanging from her belt. The greatest navigator, Nami. If he doesn't come back soon, I am going to make him pay 5 million berries. She growled as she balled her fists. She was staring out at the new island. Nami, calm down. He will come back soon. That shitty cook is making his favorite today anyways, Zoro said calmly as he was sitting at his usual sleeping spot. Usopp and Frankie were making new inventions outside while Chopper was dancing to Brook's music. Robin was reading while Sanji was handing out drinks. Oi, Moss Head, what did you just call me? Sanji growled angrily as he glared. You heard me, you curly brow freak, Zoro said back gruffly. Nami sighed as she sat back down on her chair as she stared up at the sky. Then a newspaper dropped from the sky as she caught the paper. Everyone was minding their own business. Till a high shriek came from where Nami was. Everyone fell silent as they all stood up alarmed, thinking an enemy was on the ship. Nami Swan, Sanji yelled as they ran up to where Nami was. Her face was pale as she was shaking dangerously. Tears filled her eyes as she shook in fright, her hand gripping the newspaper tightly. Nami, what's wrong? Usopp asked frowning as he glanced around, not seeing anyone. Zoro grabbed the newspaper as his eye widened. A dangerous aura came off from him as Chopper and Usopp paled and backed away slowly. Oi Mosshead, what is it? Sanji asked annoyed as he grabbed the paper as he scanned through it. His eyes narrowed angrily as he gritted his teeth tightly. That fucking idiot, he yelled as Robin frowned. The front cover of the newspaper read, Monkey D. Luffy captured. And next to the caption was a picture of Luffy with his hands chained to his back and his hat hanging off a string. His eyes were sad but he had a wide grin on his face. What? This has to be a joke, Frankie said, losing his super. Sanji began to read it out loud. Straw Hat Luffy has been captured after appearing on an island. He decided to come willingly after he was captured. His execution will be held tomorrow at noon. At the Marineford. Chopper began to cry as he covered his face while Usopp frowned deeply. We're going to go there and break Luffy out, Zoro growled lowly as he placed a hand on his swords. We have to, Sanji said calmly as he took a deep breath. Chopper quickly wiped away his tears. But how? Luffy will be surrounded by all the admirals. It will be impossible, Usopp said as he frowned. But would you give up that easily on our captain? Zoro questioned. Of course not, Usopp said turning serious. Well then everyone. It's time to start a war, Nami said as she ordered the crew to turn the sail toward Marineford. At the Whitebeard crew. Oh no, Ace better look at this, Marco said shocked as he grabbed the newspaper and began to run. Ace, he yelled loudly. Ace groaned as he sat up. What is it, Marco? He asked sleepily as he yawned. You're not going to like this. But the cheeky brat of a brother was just announced to be captured. Marco said as he showed Ace the newspaper. Ace, lost all of his drowsiness, stood up as he gripped the paper tightly. His eyes filled with anger as he growled. They're dead. I am going to burn them all to a crisp. Ace roared as he quickly jumped off the ship, landing on his small boat as he began to drive away fast. Wait, Ace. Marco yelled but sighed. I can't believe he just ran off like that, he groaned as he facepalmed. He then walked to Whitebeard who was staring out into the sea. He had a lazy smile on his face as if he was daydreaming about something as he took a huge sip of his sake. Pops. Pops. Marco said loudly as he stood in front of him. What is it, my son? Whitebeard asked as he stared down at him. Ace left. His brother. I mean, the Pirate King has been captured, Marco exclaimed as he frowned deeply. Even though he didn't know the kid too much. Ace was his brother, and if the Pirate King is related to Ace, then he would treat Luffy as his own brother too. Whitebeard's smile vanished as he stood up. Turn the ship. We're heading to his location, he announced loudly as he glared forward. What will you do now, Shanks? If you found out about this, he thought, frowning. At the red hair crew. Captain. Captain. A crew member yelled as Shanks stared at the man drunk. What is it? Shanks asked as he smiled sheepishly. Remember that boy Air, the Pirate King that you always talked about? He asked alertedly. Shanks nodded. Yeah, I told you all, he could do it. Now he is a great pirate, Shanks said, laughing as he smiled proudly. Well, the Pirate King has just been captured. His crewmate said loudly. The entire bar fell silent as they all stared at their captain. Luffy, captured? Shanks asked as he grew serious. Are you lying to me? He asked deadly. And no, Captain. Straw Hat Luffy is planned to be killed tomorrow at noon, his crewmate said as Shanks stood up. Everyone. We're going to crash the party, Shanks said loud and clear as his crew stood up too. His eyes cold and serious as he walked out of the bar. Ben followed after him. At Dragon, Revolutionary Army. Dragon. Dragon. Straw Hat Boy has been captured, Ivankov yelled as he ran inside the dark room that belongs to Dragon. He turned toward him. What did you just say now? His loud voice asked coldly as Ivankov shivered at the tone. It's true. The Pirate King is going to be killed, he yelled, alerted as he frowned. What should we do, Dragon? He asked. My son has chosen his path. All I can do is watch him. But, send out some of our soldiers. His so-called crew should be going to save him. Give his crew some assistance, Dragon said calmly as he stared out in the east. All right, Dragon. I will be on the way, Ivankov said as he rushed out fast. Arbasta. Princess. Princess. Pell yelled as he came rushing into the throne room. Pell, what is it that's so important? Cobra asked as he took a bite of his food. Vivi frowned. The Pirate King. He's been captured by the Marines, Pell said, frowning as Vivi gasped. Her eyes widened in horror as she shook. She stood up quickly. Father, we must do something, or our Luffy will be, she trailed off as she covered her mouth. Tears trickled down her face. Vivi, I have gratitude for him. But we cannot do anything. Or the world government will find out we have an alliance with him, Cobra said, frowning. But father, we must, Vivi protested as she frowned deeply. I will send some soldiers out. But with how far we are away, I don't know if they will reach it in time, Cobra said calmly as he nodded toward Pell. Please be okay, Luffy, Vivi said softly as she closed her eyes tightly. All around the world, everyone have reacted to the news of the Pirate King being captured. Some have cheered and others have grieved. Many are going to help him. Not because of his title but because of what he has done for everyone. Luffy's pav. A man chained to the wall, glanced up toward the sound of footsteps. Luffy, I told you, you should have been a Marine officer, Garp said sadly as he stared at his grandson. Shishishi, I am the Pirate King. I would never be a Marine officer, Luffy yelled loudly as he grinned bright. Why aren't you sad? You are going to lose your life now, Garp said as he grabbed the bars tightly. Luffy grinned wide. I have no regrets. I have seen all my Nakama's dreams come true. I have fulfilled my own dream. I will be happy to give up my title for the next generation, he said with no sign of regret in his eyes. Luffy, Garp said, frowning but turned away. He was no longer a Marine officer. He had retired years ago but came to talk to his grandson. You're just like Goldie Roger, he said, smiling sadly. Luffy smiled brightly as he watched his grandpa leave. He was alone again. He closed his eyes. Everyone, my only regret is not staying with you longer, he mumbled softly as he smiled. I closed my eyes as I let myself dangle on the chains. I took a deep breath, touching my head before realizing I didn't have my hat anymore. Memories filled me as I smiled sadly. I opened my eyes as I then pulled my hands as close to my face as possible. I raised 9 fingers as I began to count them. I will become the Pirate King. I will untie you only if you promise to join my crew. Zoro, the greatest swordsman ever. First mate. 1 finger down. Nami, you're my navigator. Nami, my navigator. Money lover. Another finger down. We're friends, right? So get on already. Usopp, bravest warrior of the sea. Sharpshooter. Another finger. It will just keep going down. Hey, join my crew. Sanji, best cook ever. Ladies man. Shut up. Let's go. Chopper. Best doctor around. Emergency food source. Robin. Tell me you want to live. Robin. Reader of the Void Century. Book lover. Get on my ship. Frankie. Shipwright. Super invention maker. Sure you can join my crew. Brooke. Musician. Skeleton. Last finger down. I smiled at the memories of my nakamas. Then I heard footsteps as I looked up. The cell door opened. Monkey D. Luffy. It's time, a Marine Solider said as he stood waiting. I smiled as I stood up willingly. Okay, was all I said as I walked down the hall, chained like a prisoner but with my head held up as I walked. Kill him now. Sengoku glared angrily as the swords were brought down. Luffy then quickly stared at every single one of the pirates as he smiled bright. Goodbye everyone, he mouthed before the swords hit his neck. Many screamed in anger and agony as others gasped and cried. But before the Marines could kill any more pirates, Sengoku raised his hand. This war is over. There is no need to further the deaths. As the ex-king has asked, we will not cause any more bloodshed. Sengoku declared as all grabbed their weapons and began to leave. The Marines left the pirates to put the king into the grave. As all Marines other than a few who liked respected Monkey D. Luffy left, the pirates' friends Marines all lowered their head and silence was made throughout the island. For the respect of the ex-king. Finally, as everyone has given their own regards, Zoro and the rest of the Straw Hats placed Luffy into a coffin and tossed him into the ocean. Since Luffy always loved the ocean, the world, Frankie cared about the captain like a little brother. He enjoyed having Luffy around. Luffy was always so happy to see his inventions. Luffy didn't see him as a bad guy. He forgave him. Just that simple. Frankie never imagined that Luffy would die like that. He wanted Luffy to have a super flashy death with fireworks. Something that will bring a smile. He wanted Luffy to die in his late 90s. Not now. Why? He wanted to show Luffy more. So much more. So come back Luffy. I will show you something super if you do. Straw Hat Pirates. Brooke. Brooke has lost one crew already. He didn't expect his new captain to be the last to leave. He always thought Luffy was invincible. Unable to kill. But he was wrong. He stared at the sea, remembering the dark years he spent being alone. He remembered the harsh words pirates would call him. But Luffy was different. Luffy didn't see him as a monster but as a person. Luffy was his captain. So of course he cried when Luffy died. Anyone would. But he wasn't too sad. He knew Luffy deserved this sort of death. Death where he had the power to decide when to die. He had everyone watching and he said his goodbyes. He had a good death. He wasn't going to be sad. Luffy wouldn't want that. He took out his violin as he began to play Luffy's favorite song. Binks Sake. Yo-ha-ho-ho, 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 yo-ha-ho-ho. Yo-ha-ho-ho, 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 yo-ha-ho-ho. All Straw Hat Pirates. Everyone heard Brooke playing the song as they stood beside him, wiping their tears. They joined in singing Luffy's favorite song, everyone smiling sadly as they stared out into the sea. As the song finished, they all thought they saw Luffy standing on the water, smiling at them. He nodded and waved, his signature smile on his face. At that time, each of the Straw Hats knew that it was going to be okay. In Unshin, everyone said, "Rest in peace, Captain." That's the end of the About What If. Monkey D. Luffy became a pirate king and was executed. Please subscribe, like and share Roranoa TV for more fanfiction story. Thank you for watching.